After 4 years, I decided it was time for me to start my own business. Okay, because at that point, I was going out, I was familiarizing myself, I was developing relationships with folks about making parts for them, fabrications, sub-assemblies, special machinery, and so forth, hydraulic, mechanical, and so forth. So at that point, I said, well, I can do this for me. And I incorporated my business in 1983 in St. Louis, and I started looking for companies to represent. So I figured that I didn't have the money to open up a manufacturing plant, so the easiest thing for me to do was to start as a manufacturer's representative, representing someone that wanted the business that I was already attracting for the last 3-4 years. Okay. I was approached by a company out of Kentucky, Elizabethtown, Kentucky, that was actually advertised in the St. Louis area, wanting a sales engineer to sell machinery repair services. I would be running, the job was to be responsible for Missouri, Arkansas, and Illinois. Now, as a manufacturer's rep, that means I was going to be out there by myself. I was going to be out there and be a car, working out the house and this type of thing. I said, wait a minute, these guys are willing to pay me to do what I was going to have to pay myself. So I said, let me try that out, because I may not like it. So I said, well, I can try this out, and if it doesn't work, I go back to work for somebody else. So what I did, I went to work for these guys out of St. Louis. They gave me a company car. I was able to work out of my house. Gave me a phone answering machine. Okay, it was a high tech one. You could actually push a button in the phone, and it would actually rewind and play back to you. So I had a phone answering machine. Look, you guys, some of these older guys know what I'm talking about. Some of you never even seen anything like that. Okay, but anyway, I had everything I was going to need to buy as a entrepreneur, but this time someone was going to pay me to learn. I said, okay, great. After a year, I was promoted to sales manager, but I had to move to Kentucky. Now, being sales manager meant that I was going to be over 12 sales engineers throughout the United States, responsible for U.S., Canada, and Mexico. I took that position thinking, well, wow, now I'm going to learn even more. I'm going to learn what they all know from all over the country. That's going to make it better for me when I decide to do my own thing later on down the road. I would learn more. I was going to be leaving St. Louis, coming to Elizabethtown, Kentucky, which I was going to have anything to do but to learn, and so forth, and to work. Okay, so that's what I decided to do at that time. After 5 years with them, I got the itch again. I said, okay, it's time for me to do my own thing. So I started off then, back incorporating in Kentucky as a manufacturer representative again. That was in 1988, which is when I started my business. Started my business, running around selling things, and then I got involved with a company up here that did facility services and packaging. So again, that company wanted me to because of my manufacturing background, they wanted me to help them with their manufacturing. They weren't strong in that area, but they were strong in the facilities area. So at that point, I said, okay, I'll take a look at it, and I'll help you. I'll work for you for a couple days a week, and I'll still maintain my manufacturing rep business for the rest of the week. And that ended up being a full-time job, though, trying to help someone else. So at that point, I found out, though, that the facilities business was as lucrative as the manufacturing business. So I got into the facilities business. 1993, I got a contract with Toyota. Started off there with 6 people maintaining their facilities, and I paid 1,700 employees last year, operating throughout the country and providing a lot of jobs and developing folks, training, and that type of thing. So the moral of this story is, if you work hard, if you focus and you plan your work, you can do the same thing as well. Now, my biggest customer is Toyota. We started that contract with them in '93. But prior to that, I studied Toyota. Now, the reason I mentioned Toyota because I advise you to do the same thing. They have written the book on quality. And one thing I've always done since the time I was in high school and before, no matter what I did, I tried to do the best possible job I could at anything that I did. And I want to be, to this date, I expect to be number one at everything I do. Everything. I don't like being second to anything. So whatever you need to do to be the best, that's what I work towards doing. Now, if you, for instance, back in 2004, We had competition. You always talk about what's going to make you different. You always look at developing a competitive edge. Competitive advantage is what they should be teaching you in school. So what's going to make you different than the team over there or the team over here? Okay? Well, quality consciousness would be a big plus. So I recommend that you guys get the book, The Toyota Way. Okay? That's a book that talks about lean manufacturing. Since we're talking about transportation here, or should I say the automotive industry, you know, it started off with crafts production, you might say. You know, craft production, you know, because of Europe, the craftsmen, matter of fact, the company I worked for, they had very skilled German craftsmen way back then. Nowadays, you don't have those levels of craftsmanship, but you don't need them because you got the equipment, you have better equipment, you have 3D printing, you have things like that you didn't have a long time ago that doesn't require that same level of craftsmanship. But what they did, they took crafts production, then it went to mass production, which was really invented by the U.S., you know, Henry Ford in particular. And then, but they took all those ideas, looked at them, and said, wait, we need to make this even better. Because we don't have the resources a lot of these other guys. What can we do to make it even better? So then they decided to go to lean production or lean manufacturing. And that's what a Toyota Way will help you to understand that entire process. In fact, another book, The Machine That Changed the World, is what I would recommend also. Now, I know you got a lot of books to read, but make sure if you're going to be an entrepreneur, you know, get these books. They teach you so much in just those books, common sense stuff that very successful companies are doing this day, and you'll find out where that all came from, okay? But The Machine That Changed the World talks about the progression of those industries and where it is today. And now, as you know, everybody practices lean manufacturing.